mailbox. The envelope was thin. Too thin. I stood at the end of our driveway, holding it between my fingers like it might burn me. Social Security Administration. Official correspondence. 40 years. 40 years I'd stood in front of classrooms, grading papers until midnight, buying supplies with my own money when the school budget ran dry. 40 years of believing that if you just worked hard enough, followed the rules, saved what you could, everything would be okay. I was wrong. My name is Linda Hayes. I'm 68 years old. I taught third grade for 4 decades in a small Ohio town where everyone knew your name and your business. My husband Robert is 72. Retired fire captain. We thought we'd done everything right. We thought wrong. I walked back up the driveway slowly, past Robert's old pickup truck with the rusted fender he kept saying he'd fix, past the flower bed where nothing grows anymore, because my knees can't handle the kneeling, past the front porch where the railing wobbles, but we can't afford to replace it. Inside, Robert sat at our kitchen table. Same table we bought 30 years ago. Same Formica top with the cigarette burn from when his brother visited in '98. Same wobbly leg we kept forgetting to fix. He looked up from his coffee. What did we get? I didn't answer. Just slid the envelope across the table. He picked it up. Read it. Set it down carefully, like it was made of glass. $13.50, he said quietly. Per month, I added. As if he didn't know. $1,350. That's what 40 years of teaching came down to. After they took out Medicare Part B another $174.70, I'd have $1,175.30 to live on. Robert's was better. $1,600 from Social Security, plus a small fire department pension. Together, before any other deductions, we'd have about $3,400 a month. It sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It's not. Let me explain what's happening to millions of American seniors right now. And if you're in your 50s or 60s, pay attention because this is your future too. In 2025, the average Social Security benefit is about $1,907 per month. But that's the average. Millions of retirees receive far less, especially women who took time off for childcare or worked in lower-paying professions like teaching. Here's what they don't tell you. Medicare Part B premiums alone take about $175 monthly. Add prescription coverage, maybe another $50. Hospital stays? A deductible over $1,600 each time. And long-term care, almost nothing is covered. So when people say, you'll have Social Security, they're not mentioning that what sounds like $1,900 monthly quickly becomes $1,600, then $1,400, then less. Now let me tell you what expenses look like. Robert and I own our home. No mortgage, we paid it off in 2019. That's supposed to be the American dream, right? But we still pay. Property taxes $320 a month. Home insurance $185. Utilities $280. Car insurance $160. Gas $120. Food $450. Phone and internet $90. That's $1,605 monthly just for basics. No meds. No emergencies. Nothing extra. And we're the lucky ones. We own our home. Robert pushed his coffee mug away. It was his favorite mug, World's Best Dad, our kids gave him in 1995. The paint was mostly worn off now. There's something else, he said. I felt my stomach drop. What? He stood up, walked to the junk drawer, and pulled out another envelope. This one was already opened. Crumpled. Came 2 days ago, he said. Didn't want to worry you. I took it. Read it. Medical collections notice. $28,450. Your knee surgery, I said. Medicare covered most of it, he said quickly. But the deductible, the co-pays, the physical therapy, they said wasn't medically necessary. He trailed off. $28,000. They wanted payment arrangements. Minimum $500 monthly, or they'd pursue legal action. I looked at our Social Security statement. Then at the medical bill. The math didn't work. Robert, I said carefully, how are we supposed to pay this? He sat back down, slowly. His knee made that clicking sound it's made since the surgery. The surgery that was supposed to fix everything. I ran into burning buildings for 30 years and this is all we get? His voice cracked. And that's when I knew we were in real trouble. Because Robert always had a plan. When the hot water heater broke in 2003. When the roof needed replacing in 2011. When our daughter Rachel's college money fell short. And we took out that loan we're still paying off. Robert always had a plan. Not this time. Here's what every senior needs to understand about Medicare. It covers some hospital and doctor visits. But you still pay deductibles and 20% of most bills with no cap. If your bill is $100,000, you owe $20,000. Physical therapy, medical equipment, prescriptions? Only partly covered. The average 65-year-old will spend approximately $157,000 on out-of-pocket medical costs throughout retirement. For a couple, double it. And that's if you stay relatively healthy. Robert's knee surgery was necessary. 30 years of running into burning buildings had destroyed his joints. But necessary and covered are two different things. I went to the bedroom and closed the door. Our bedroom hasn't changed much in 30 years. Same floral curtains. Same dresser with the drawer that sticks. Same wedding photo on the nightstand. Two kids who thought 40 years was forever and never imagined looking this old, this tired. I sat on the edge of the bed and let myself cry. Just for a minute. Then I did what I always do. I made a list. What we have. Social Security, $3,400 monthly. Robert's pension, $890. Savings, $18,500. What we owe. Medical debt, $28,450. Home equity loan, $15,200. Our monthly needs. Basic expenses $1,600. Medical payment $500. Robert's medications $240. Mine $180. Loan $280. We needed $2,805 monthly just to survive. We'd have $4,290 coming in. That left $1,485 for everything else. Car repairs. Emergencies. Helping our kids. But what happens when the next medical emergency hits? When the car dies? When we can't care for ourselves anymore? According to the Federal Reserve, 43% of Americans aged 55 to 64 have zero retirement savings. For those who do save, the median balance is $22,000. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, that's $73 per month. Even people who saved often don't have enough. Robert's 401k proved it. In 1998, his department started a 3% match. By 2000, he'd saved $31,000. Then the dot-com crash hit. By 2002, $16,500. He kept contributing. By 2007, 52,000. Then 2008 happened. It dropped to 29,000. By retirement in 2018, he had 78,000. Using the 4% rule. $260 a month. But medical emergencies, home repairs, and helping the kids drained it. By 2024, it was gone. That evening, my phone rang. Rachel. "Hi Mom," she said. She sounded tired. 12-hour shifts will do that. "Hi honey. Just checking in. Haven't heard from you in a few days." I almost told her that we were drowning, that I didn't know what to do. But I didn't, because she has her own problems. 45,000 in student loans. Working doubles. Still renting at 40. "We're fine," I said. "Just busy." "Okay. Love you, Mom." "Love you too." Robert was watching from the doorway. "We have to tell them," he said quietly. "Not yet," I said. "Here's the crisis nobody's talking about. The sandwich generation. Rachel is 40. Still paying off 45,000 in loans. Her monthly payment, $380. She earns 68,000 a year. Sounds good, right? But after taxes, loans, rent, car, insurance. She has almost nothing left for retirement savings. At 40, Rachel has 8,200 in her 401k. She should have at least 80,000. Meanwhile, she's watching us struggle, knowing she can't afford to help. Boomers were told to sacrifice for their kids' education. Now they're broke. Their kids, saddled with debt, can't help them. Both generations are drowning. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by bills, trying to make the numbers work. They wouldn't. Robert found me at dawn. "I can't figure it out," I said. 40 years of math and I can't make this work. He sat down next to me. Took my hand. "We'll figure it out," he said. "How?" He didn't answer. The thing about retirement is that it's not an ending. It's not beaches or golf or peaceful golden years. For millions of Americans, retirement is a crisis. And our storm was just beginning. Because 3 days later, our kids would show up for a family meeting. And everything we'd been hiding from them, from each other, from ourselves was about to come crashing down. What would you do if you discovered your retirement savings couldn't last 6 months? Drop a comment. I read every one. In America today, 10,000 people turn 65 every day. Half of them have less than 25,000 saved. The average nursing home costs $8,900 a month. Medicare covers almost none of it. And for families like ours, the storm is just beginning. The family meeting. The title card appeared. Saturday morning. 3 days later, Rachel's car pulled into the driveway at 10 a.m. sharp. She's always punctual. Nurses training, she says. Can't be late when someone's life depends on you. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later in his beat-up Honda Civic. The one he bought after the divorce because his ex-wife kept the SUV. I'd spent the morning cleaning. Not because the house was dirty, but because I didn't know what else to do with my hands. When you're about to tell your children you're failing at the one thing you promised you'd never do, be a burden. You polish counters that don't need polishing. Robert sat at the kitchen table, silent. He'd barely spoken since I told him we had to do this. They need to know, I'd said. I know, he'd replied. But knowing and doing are different things. Rachel came through the door first. She was in her scrubs. Worked a night shift and came straight here. dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in that same ponytail she's worn since high school. She hugged me tight. "You okay, Mom? You sounded weird on the phone." "I'm fine, honey." The lie came easily. Too easily. Ethan walked in behind her, carrying a box of donuts. Brought breakfast. The good ones from Bailey's. Bailey's Bakery. We'd been getting donuts there since the kids were little. Before Bailey retired and his daughter took over. Before the prices doubled, but we kept going anyway. Because some habits you can't break. "Thanks, sweetheart," I said, taking the box. Nobody touched the donuts. We sat at the kitchen table. The four of us. Like we'd done 1,000 times before. Report cards. College applications. Wedding planning. Holiday dinners. But this felt different. Rachel knew something was wrong. I could see it in her face. That nurse's instinct. Reading pain people don't say out loud. Ethan tried to make small talk about his landscaping business. I let him talk, postponing the inevitable. Finally Rachel cut through it. "Mom. Dad. What's going on?" Robert looked at me. I looked at the table. "We need to talk about money," I said quietly. The room went still. Question to viewers: when was the last time you had an honest money talk with your family? I slid the Social Security statement across the table. Then the medical bill. Then our bank statement. Rachel picked up the medical bill first. Her face went pale. $28,000? From Dad's surgery, I said. Medicare didn't cover everything. You told me it was covered, she said sharply. You said not to worry. I didn't want you to worry. Rachel stopped herself. Breathed the way she teaches patients before painful procedures. Ethan was looking at the Social Security statement. $13.50 a month? That's all? After Medicare deductions, Robert said. His first words since they'd arrived. But you worked 40 years. Doesn't matter, I said. That's how Social Security works. My salary was never that high. Teachers pay in a small district. Rachel was doing math on her phone. Her fingers flying across the calculator app. Okay, she said, her nurse voice kicking in. The voice she uses when someone's bleeding and she needs to sound calm. Combined income is, what, $4,200 monthly? About that. And expenses? I handed her the list I'd made. The one that kept me up at night. She read it. Once. Twice. This doesn't include the medical payment plan. No. Or emergency savings. We don't have emergency savings anymore. Her voice cracked. Mom, why didn't you tell us sooner? What would you have done? The words came out harsher than I meant. You're 40 years old with $45,000 in student loans. Ethan just lost his house in the divorce. What were you going to do? Silence. Because I was right. And we all knew it. Rachel looked down at the paper, then back at me. This isn't just numbers, Mom. This is survival math. On-screen text cue: average American couple retires on $4,100 month. Average monthly expenses? $4,500. Ethan broke the silence. What about the house? Reverse mortgage? Rachel's head snapped up. No, absolutely not. Why not? They get monthly payments. And when they die, the bank owns the house, Rachel said sharply. Everything Mom and Dad worked for goes to some corporation. We get nothing. We don't need an inheritance, Ethan shot back. We need to make sure they can eat. There are other options. Like what? You gonna take them in? You live in a one-bedroom apartment. I could move. On your salary? While paying student loans? Stop. Robert's voice cut through the argument. Firm. The fire captain voice. The one that commanded burning buildings. They stopped. Nobody's taking out a reverse mortgage, he said. And nobody's cashing out their future to fix ours. He slammed his fist lightly on the table. I ran into burning buildings for 30 years. And this is all we get? The silence after that was heavier than before. Then what's the plan? Ethan asked. Because from where I'm sitting, the math doesn't work. We know, I whispered. Rachel stood up, paced to the window, arms crossed. When she was little, she'd do that. Same thing when she was working through a problem. Stand at her bedroom window and stare out until she figured it out. Okay, she said finally. Here's what I'm thinking. She turned around. Mom and Dad, you downsize. Sell this house. Find a small apartment or condo. Someplace with lower utilities, no maintenance, lower property taxes. Rachel, I started. Let me finish. You downsize, you bank the difference from the sale, probably $100,000 after paying off the home equity loan. That becomes your emergency fund. She pulled out her phone, typing notes. Dad, you delay taking Social Security until 70. If you can keep working part-time, that increases your monthly payment by 24%. I'm 72, Robert said. I already took it. Okay, then you find part-time work. Something light. Consulting. Fire safety training. Something. With my knee? He gestured at his leg. Rachel ignored that. Mom, you look into substitute teaching. It's flexible, doesn't affect Social Security, brings in extra. I'm 68 years old, I said. I taught for 40 years. I'm done. Rachel's eyes hardened. Then you're not really retired. Because retirement is a luxury. And luxuries require money. Question to viewers: do you agree? Is retirement today really just a luxury? The words hung in the air. Cold. True. Unbearable. Ethan's turn. His voice cracked. I can't help. Not right now. We looked at him. The divorce. Spousal support. $1,200 a month. My business is seasonal. Winter's dead. I'm barely covering rent. His shame was heavy. I'm 38 years old. And I feel like a child who can't protect his own parents. Rachel reached across and squeezed his hand. It's not your fault. On-screen text cue: average student loan balance for 40-year-olds $45,000. But I could see her doing her own math. If Ethan couldn't help, that left only her. Rachel slumped back into her chair. Then maybe I move back home. Pay you rent. Help with bills. You need your own life, I said. Her voice broke. What life, Mom? I'm already living like a ghost. Tears streamed down her face. Robert stood, placed his hand on her shoulder. Sweetheart, he said gently. You're not moving back home. Dad, no. His voice was firm but kind. You've worked too hard to go backward. And your mother and I didn't sacrifice so you could end up as broke as we are. He paused, then added, we didn't fight through fire so you could burn out. The tension never resolved. Ethan's phone rang. His son broke his arm skateboarding. He left in a rush. Rachel hugged me at the door. We'll figure this out, Mom. I know, I said. Another lie. Robert and I were alone again. We offered them a future, I whispered. And somehow we still ended up here. We did our best, he said. Was it enough? He didn't answer. Because we both knew it wasn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat with the calculator again. chasing numbers that refused to line up. Robert took it from my hand. Linda, this isn't a math problem. The system is broken. We played by the rules. And the rules changed. So what do we do? I asked. He was quiet. We survive, he said finally. Day by day. Hard choices. Let the kids help. Even though it kills us. The silence we'd been hiding behind was gone. The kids knew. The truth was out. But what none of us knew was what was waiting in the basement. An old box Robert thought he'd thrown away years ago. A box that would explain how we really got here. And why the system failed us before we ever had a chance. Final question for viewers: if this was your family's crisis, would you sell the house? Or hold on to it? Comment below. Next time on Retirement on the Edge. I found something. Linda discovers Robert's hidden 401k rollover records. 20 years of contributions. 2 market crashes. And the devastating truth about annuities. Medicare Advantage plans, and what happened to an entire generation's retirement dreams.